Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ships and Giggles, which is it's been a month. Yeah, it's been a month since I last posted something up. So, thanks for your patience. It's exceedingly difficult lately to get anything going with any consistency as far as sitting down, and yes, he just ran the back end of the Battleship. To actually sit down and have the time to get anything done. I have hundreds of gigs of footage, and then I play in the stream, and next thing I know, I've got more stuff to record, and it just keeps accumulating. And frankly, YouTube takes a backseat to streaming because essentially the idea is that games serve multiple purposes for me, especially when I'm streaming, and YouTube does not. So I'm not playing the game, I'm simply talking about it, and that's a hell of a lot more difficult. Different mindset and everything, which is probably why I sound happier on here than I do in during the stream, because I'm actually dealing with the crap that's going on in the game. And the game that you're seeing now, I was like, oh crap, freaking out because all of a sudden there's secondary fire coming in because I got radared or whatever, and booyah, that's why you don't sit still in the cap in smoke. Good job, Hatsu. I've made a lot of progress, thanks to free XP, with the Japanese destroyers. So I'm playing the Hatsu here, and this guy went straight for like 4 sectors due south. Didn't deviate until he saw those torps. I thought he would, which is why he saw the other torp spread that was over to the left. And the Hatsu actually isn't that bad. I think this is an okay ship. It's still there's still an inherent issue with only having 2 torp launchers, and these guns suck ass. And especially the turret traverse just kills me, man. That's the worst part. I just want to be able to, even if I can't fire, I want to have my guns on target a little bit more easily. I totally thought this guy was going to dump his salvos or his torps and just wreck me, and then we've got the planes coming in, so I'm trying to turn in as fast as I can, and thankfully minimum arming distance. So it looks like all 6 are going to hit. Doink doink, and booyah. Oh, that's disappointing. But, yeah. 6 torps, man. Just not enough. I hit the good spot, too, as far as trying to avoid as much of his torpedo protection as I could, but I thought it would slow down, turn in a little bit, maybe, so I wanted to have those torps to the backside anyways, but wanted to get to the 2 kilometer mark, pop my smoke, and avoid the proxy detection there, so narrowly avoid taking a torp. Well, 2, really. But I was really surprised he didn't shoot or launch torps at me. And I know something's up. And sure enough, that's when we get the notification that finally he launched some torps. But finally got another fire on him, managed to end that. And actually it turned out to be a pretty good round, but I got absolutely nothing for it as far as the XP was concerned, which is a problem that I noticed with this line in particular. Moving on to the Kagero here, which I do really like this ship at tier 8. I think this is a surprisingly fun, especially with torpedo reload booster. I don't think I've run this with the smoke yet, and same with the Yagumo, which you'll see in a little bit. I also played the Shiratsuyu, which I will avoid showing any footage of, by the way, because the sound is deafening on that. If you haven't heard it, think of all 9 of the Yamato shells being combined into one little 127mm turret. That's how goddamn loud it is. It's insane. There's clearly an issue with it. It sounds like it's from the Ultra audio file. For those of you who don't know, you can basically, through the launcher, you can select the Ultra audio option, and it'll download some new files or whatever, and then it'll put them in there, and you have to restart the client, blah blah blah, and there you go. You now have Ultra audio, and it really changes the audio profiles of a lot of these ships. They're totally different, and for those of you who haven't been playing very long,
storm moving in.
One of the big things that this game has gone through are sound changes, and back in CBT, damn near every single patch, the ship sounded different. It was way more bassy back in the day, and like a Benson, could shake a house off of its foundation, while it's throwing its shells through the air. But also, again, this is why you don't sit and smoke. I'm perfectly fine giving up a cap at the start of a match if that means I'm sending out a beautiful wall of skill to catch somebody right in the butt. Because now that cap is being transferred over to us because we have a DD there, and now that DD is dead, and he's one of the biggest threats to me on the enemy team. So this turned out to be a pretty interesting match too. But there's sometimes some interesting choices made for the for the sounds of certain ships, and I think others, like I personally wish we could select our own horn, because all of mine would sound the same. I really like some of the horns that they have, and I don't really like some of the other ones. There's, what is it, like the Molotov and a few other ships like that have like a whale fart of a horn. It just sounds terrible. It's really weird, but I'm sure it existed at some point. But sent out these torps and everything. Amazingly managed to catch the Akatsuki, so I was super happy about that, and managed to hit the Itago, and so did the guy in the Harakazi over here, which we teamed up pretty well over here, and managed to do some good work. But yeah, so now there's a Cleveland, and yes, this is during the radar apocalypse that is currently still heavily underway. I know this is a very difficult point to discuss right now, because everybody's got something that they want to say about radar. Personally, for me, here's a general issue that I'm gonna have, and like as far as the future of the game and everything is concerned. Italian cruisers, if they don't have radar, who the hell's gonna play them? Right? If they, because radar is going to be so important at any given stage that, and if you think it's bad now, just wait till the Worcester and the Salem and so on and so forth are released. The rest of the UNCL line is, or I'm sorry, USNCL line, geez, there we go. And yes, I apparently caught him in between a repair there, so got really lucky getting a liquidator, which I've only had I think that's like my 7th or 8th one, something like that. And I see a sweet target up here with the Namagi. Also, if you notice, yes, I'm going HBK. The King George that's over there, he's AFK, and I'm not figuring this out for a second. I'm waiting. I'm like, wait a second, what? Do that double take. Yep, he's clearly not in the game. Use the torque reload booster, and probably die here. Thankfully, no. But we gotta move behind this island, get real close to him, and this is so stupid. This is one of those things where I don't have to risk it, but I'm more than happy to do so, because I don't want to sit around and wait for somebody to burn, especially if I have an opportunity to set up a potential double strike here, assuming... Yes, okay. I was thinking that he would get his shots off before I got any torps in the water. Thankfully that wasn't the case, and his secondaries didn't hit me, as we take a look at the poor AFK guy who helps me with getting a double strike. It's beautiful. But there's an Asashio over here too, and of course he shows up right then. And for those of you who don't know, the Asashio actually has really good guns. A lot of players who use the Asashio don't really shoot, and that's, I think, a big mistake. So I knew I was dead there. It didn't really matter. Just got a torp set off. He had very little health, so if I hit him, I should be able to kill him. And yeah, the Asashio has definitely done some damage to me when the players have used the guns, and that is not something that's terribly common. Unfortunately for me, we get a torp hit, but it's clearly damage saturation, as we'll take a look here as he gets spotted at the end. This was the only carry angle available to me. He's got nothing. So I think I only did like 7,000 damage to him or something like that, so that kind of sucked. And moving over to the Yagumo, awesome ship. And I'm just going to go back to the radar discussion real fast. Okay, my thing is that for the future of the game, as far as longevity is concerned and all that, if they don't tone radar down, any future ship lines that are cruisers that don't have radar are going to be niche ships, basically. They're going to be not played nearly as much because they're not going to have the utility that is demanded by the players. So if you reduce the effectiveness of radar and the reducing the module, the special module, from 40% increased duration to 20% is a small step, but it's a step in the right direction. I personally would rather see all of those modules be completely removed from the game, because I really just, I don't think that's a reasonable thing to have. As far as extended hydro, extended defensive fire, I don't think the game needs that, but that's me. And I would also say the same thing about the upcoming tier 10 legendary modules. I don't like the idea of them at all. Marginalizing the gameplay even further at tier 10 is not what I would consider to be the right move. But yeah, either way. So in regards to like duration and range, I think that if we're gonna try to reel it in, it needs to be reduced on that front. I would say hydro needs to be reduced as well. Basically, the idea that I have in my head about this type of stuff is that, especially with radar, it's more of it's not used anywhere near as often as it should be in an offensive manner. So it's more about a setting somebody else up to do the damage and whatnot, or to continually push and corral enemy ships, which I would say out of the two, that's probably the better option, because at least that would imply that you're moving. And I think the radar range basically reinforces passivity and staying in a given spot. Yes, you should use cover as a cruiser or battleship or destroyer, whatever. But if you're literally sitting behind or next to an island the entire game, and you're able to, disseminate this additional information with radar, and do that for 56 seconds if you're in a Des Moines with that module. Well, not for longer, not for much longer, I should say. But I think that's just too much, and destroyers should be allowed to get within a reasonable distance to throw their torps out. I mean, they already have to deal with planes. They already have to deal with the torps being spotted, especially the Japanese DDs. My god, the torp spotting range on that is ridiculous. You send your torps out and you're like, oh, these look great, these are gonna hit. Here comes a fighter plane, a float plane launched from a ship, and your entire torpedo salvo is spotted, and the guy turns and they all miss, and you're just like, sweet, now I have to wait another 2 minutes to be able to do anything, and that sucks ass. That's a really, like, I know the whole thing with the spotter, like the planes spotting torpedoes has been reduced significantly, but with the amount of planes out there, it's still gonna happen with more than enough warning, especially with the Japanese DDs as they're spotted from fucking space. So I think that in that regard, tone down, like have a little bit more of a pocket between the radar and the general torp range at a given tier, and that's where you cap it. Like, if you're within that range, and this is the other thing too, the closer you are to a ship, obviously, and you get radared, the more likely you're gonna die. So I think that's a fair trade-off, and everybody's gonna have their own opinion about this stuff. I just personally think it's just way overdone, and yeah, I don't think it's all that good for the game as it is just promoting more and more slowness to the game, sadly. And I kind of screwed that up too. I didn't aim far enough ahead to hit with 3 torps, so I only got 2. But managing myself again, that was a big hit. Managing myself here against a pair of Colorados, and in pretty much the worst possible position for me to be in. We get some torps there, throw out the guns there, and I've got Cleveland behind me, trying to help me out with the Colorado that's behind me, and I'm just trying to get in as close as I can as my secondaries are setting fires and doing all that crap against this guy, and I'm pretty sure I'm dead at this point. I'm not sure what this dude's waiting for, but surprise, rear turret, best turret gets the butt kill, and the other Colorado behind me gets taken out by the Cleveland. So that was beautiful, and damn did that feel good. But yeah, secondaries here, working on the enemy DD. I think I would have played this differently now, simply because I should have just let myself go dark and then try to get closer. I was really, like, that salvo is fine, you know, 3 overpens, I'm good with that, but this one was disappointing, and then we're just basically charging the smoke because I can't risk turning and hitting torps that I would otherwise, you know, not hit at all, and I shouldn't have shot that at all. Should have just waited a little bit, but yeah, that's chance right there. I decide to make a turn, and that's exactly where the torp is going to go. So I should have, obviously in retrospect, I mean, everything's pretty easy to figure out what you should have done, but, or, you know, clearly in a YouTube video here. So this one, yeah, this is the last clip of the video today. I was having a hell of a time doing anything this match, as you just noticed by the fact that I landed a hit and I'm still just under 20,000 damage, and we're about closing in on halfway through the match. Enemy Shimakaze here, and I decide that, you know what, screw this shit, I'm going in. I'm tired of sitting back and not hitting anything. We've put ourselves into a horrible spot on the minimap, if you want to take a look at that. This is pretty much the worst possible way to play Islands of Ice, and we're down 4 ships, we're down, what, 370 points at this juncture, so screw it, I'm going in, don't care what happens. I want to try to make something happen, just trying to make myself feel better, but I do wish I got that shot against the Shimakaze back. I could have done better there. So for those of you who don't know, I run a hybrid secondary build, and I run main battery reload on the 406s for the curve first, because there's no appreciable difference between that and 420s, but I will take the faster reload, and you'll see why. I'll take the faster reload over the slightly higher damage, because, I mean, in the end, that's going to probably mean more. So secondary's going batshit crazy on the enemy curve first. We've got the Yamato coming up, and I'm looking at the wrong turret here, so I get... I should have been 6 citadels, but rear turret, best turret again. Thank you. And yeah, I had 2 shell breakups and a bounce, but one turret did that, the other turret did 3 citadels, so all I had to do was wait just a little bit longer. I was looking from the wrong turret. Yeah, basically if I hit C, I would have gone to the rear turrets, but because I'm pretty sure I was on the B turret, and that's the one that had the shell breakups and the bounce. But yeah, I didn't really realize I wasn't at quite the angle that I thought I was, and it was the B turret that could have just ended that, you know, whatever, could have saved my rear turrets for the curve first, possibly. Got a sweet ass double strike, that would have been great. But anyways, I tried to break the Bismarck's turrets there, and that just wasn't gonna happen. I haven't had much luck with that lately. Like, I've had more luck with the Minotaur and doing that against other cruisers and stuff than I have in battleships against other battleships, which is pretty frustrating, but whatever. Yeah, so enemy Fletcher shows up, throw the secondaries on him. There's a Kutuzov behind the island to the right, then in that smoke right up ahead, there is the Shimakaze. So I've pretty much accepted my fate. I don't expect to live here. Managed to get some sweet dispersion though, land a nice double strike, and we're on fire. We are on fire all over the place, and if you haven't noticed, we've taken out a few ships, but they just lost 5 ships in a pretty short period of time. Dump full salvo there against the Shimakaze, who's clearly in the smoke, just sitting there, and naturally his fire chance is absolutely through the roof because there we go again. Son of a bitch. But this match turned around a surprising amount, and the reason why, I mean, I'm not going to take more credit than I need to because the rest of the team, well, some of the rest of the team pushed in here and got things done, but just barely got that shot off. Thank you, Adrenaline Rush and the 406s and Main Battery Reload, was because we said screw it and pushed. Sometimes that's all you gotta do. Just saying. And we're going to see a lot more of the Curve First here in the next video or two, and a lot more of the Minotaur. So I just want to throw that out there for you guys. But thank you for watching today. We almost won this, but the Shimikaze got away. I will see you back here next time, and take care, everybody.